Welcome back to LEGO Wars Series 5. Last time out, we wrapped up the round of 32 as last year's grand finalist Kraken crashed out of the competition while the second and third ranked machines Mr. Waffle and Deator both got beaten up by playing opposition. We're left with 16 destructive, chaotic and at times lucky bots with 4 fights between them and the Series 5 title. Let's remind ourselves of the surviving challengers.
First, from Hinkley in season number 6, 23 red.
The dual disc spinner remains my favourite this side of the bracket after taking out LEGO Wars champions Brick Astley as they look for a third consecutive grand final appearance.
From Canuck, Bulldog Breed.
The fragile dog threw out the script last round as they controlled the pace against Guardian, but with 23 red around the corner it could get real messy in the arena.
From Brisbane, Chompy.
The veteran grabber is back in the top 16 for the first time since Series 3, and with their impressive ground game they still could go very far.
From Palo Alto, California in season number 16, Duck.
Duck finally broke its losing streak in the series bracket last time out, but they've not been firing on all cylinders and need to show a decisive victory.
From Warrington, Flashover Delta.
The Dangerous Vert got revenge over Waffle from their internationals as it ripped apart its breakfast as they set their sights on the debut finals appearance.
From Norwich, Ganymede.
Thank you. They did enough damage to Whiplash to bring home the victory, but again showed a lack of KO potential that needs addressing.
From Glasgow, Hospitaller.
The playing machine upset the rankings as they disposed of the top-ranked Ripperoni, but it's been a while since we've seen a full flip from that upgraded mechanism.
From Seattle, Kelsey Hammer.
The plucky underdogs keep marching on as they controlled Shadow, but they need the performance of their lives to make the grand final.
From the Isle of Wight, Megalodon.
The drum spinner has gone one better than their Series 4 campaign as they look pretty solid for a grand final place.
From Seoul in South Korea in season number 3, Orby Blade.
The Korean spinner now stands as the highest seed left in the competition, and barring any battery woes this could be their year.
From Derby in season number 5, Pegasus.
After a middling heat, it was business as usual for the flipper as they tossed aside the twins on their way to a potential second grand final appearance.
From Annapolloa in the Netherlands at season number 15, Petunia.
The odd series have favoured Petunia over the years, and this year looks no different, but they need their ground game to work better against Hosp.
From Birmingham in season number 12, Quantum.
It was at this point last series where the Crusher's charge came to an end, but perhaps a steadier run this time means there's more left in the tank.
From Saturn, Solancer Frog.
Froggy has surprised many by holding out this late in the competition, but it's only going to get tougher from here for the rookies to keep going.
From Raleigh, North Carolina, Slammo.
Slammo delivered a fight for the ages last time out as they finally suplexed an opponent in Thumper, and if they could keep this going they really could go all the way.
From Bournemouth in season number 7, Waddle Meta.
The Series 2 champs rolled back the years with a brilliant back and forth win with Deator as they continue to hold up Champion's honour. We'll begin tonight's action over in the bottom left hand corner with our 6 seeds 23 red looking at a potential third consecutive grand final appearance, but a stubborn Bulldog Breed stands in their way, so let's see if they can do it. Hello everybody. Note, before you panic that we haven't lost the footage, you'll see 23 red and Bulldog in a second, but before you do, there's a slight mishap with the arena, as we recorded one of the whiteboards before the round of 16 and that may have broken the screws. Whoops. So yeah, don't worry about those working. Let's go on with the action.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Away we go then for the round of 16 in LEGO Wars Series 5. All of our quarterfinalists will be deciphered tonight, and next week we'll of course crown our 5th LEGO Wars champion. But tonight we kick off with Bulldog Breed and 23 red. I suppose you could say 2 surprise packages to be at this stage. I don't know how many people had 23 red beating Brick Astley on their brackets last week, but I don't think many did, and I don't think very many at all had Bulldog Breed making it past Disgruntled Guardian. But here we are, these two taking on each other in the round of 16, with a place in the quarterfinals at stake. Oh, and there goes damage immediately to Bulldog Breed. We've seen it being shredded across the entire campaign of the series, and so far they are living up to that billing. Bulldog Breed is being savaged here by 23 red, and more damage sustained by Bulldog Breed. We've seen the level of damage that can be sustained. They've been pushed inexorably towards the arena, although 23 red good staying power, as we know from Bulldog Breed, but we know that chassis is fragile. They can be got at, and 23 red doing a good job so far of pulling apart Bulldog Breed, and they are continuing to do so. Look at this damage. There's nothing left of the front of Bulldog Breed. The side panel slash chassis rail is sort of flapping in the wind, isn't it? Gonna take here though, trying to stop 23 Red by Bulldog Breed, push them into the arena spikes. I've been told by Arena Wrangler David, that is a different David in the David cinematic universe, that the screws aren't working, but at the moment Bulldog Breed can't even get anywhere near them because they are being shredded. But look at that good attack there from Bulldog Breed, pulling one of the discs almost off of 23 Red. That kind of nestles back down, and there goes the disc of 23 Red. A brilliant attack from Bulldog Breed with their high centered on one of their own chassis. Can they get down from there? 23 Red has one weapon still working, and they get back down, but more damage sustained by Bulldog Breed. It's just bits and pieces of Bulldog Breed littering the arena. There's nothing left of it. Look at it. Completely savage. There's no Bulldog Breed left. It's completely unrecognisable from the start of the fight. 23 Red sands one disc, spinning on the spot, trying to cause as much mayhem and carnage as possible, and they continue to do so, and there goes a wheel. Bulldog Breed, I think it's time for you to rest, my friend. Surely it's all over for one of the most stout-hearted competitors we've seen in all of LEGO Wars Series 5, but no, we continue, and they are able to get out of their circumference, so they are able to continue the fight. Bulldog Breed, it's been absolutely trashed. There's nothing left of it, but it's still working. Unbelievable resilience and determination from Bulldog Breed. You expect nothing less. A stout-hearted competitor in their first campaign in LEGO Wars. They are going to need a bit of a rebuild after this one. I think 23 Red are going to advance to the quarterfinals in some style, but credit to Bulldog Breed. They have taken this fight the full 3 minutes, and I think they are very, very deserving of their spot at this stage of the competition. It goes to the judges and to time. I think there's only going to be one winner, but what an amazing opener for our round of 16. The judges' decision may be a foregone conclusion, but what a stout effort it was from Bulldog Breed, who really did try and get involved in the fight and get at 23 Red. They didn't always work out, but they were completely obliterated as the fight wore on. That damage did accrue very quickly, but to their credit, they kept going, didn't they? They ripped one of the discs off of 23 Red, but the robot was unrecognisable at the end of the fight. 23 Red completely tore Bulldog Breed apart and deserves their place in the round of 8.
And the winner by unanimous decision is 23 Red. Bulldog Breed have been utterly destroyed as a single disc. 23 Red makes the grand final once again. They may get a rematch from Heat L if Chompy can return to the top 8 for the first time since Series 2 as they take on Slammo.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Away we go then for our next match. Slammo taking on Chompy for a place to fight 23 Red in the quarterfinals next week. Of course, Slammo absolutely dominated in their fight against Thumper, the number 21 seed in the bracket. They take it on the 29. Chompy, of course, got a good JD win over Atlas and controlled that fight too. It'd be a very interesting control match between the two of them. And a good push there from Chompy to start things off. Slammo on the spikes, gets away. Trying to get a good lift off with the lifter at the front there, Slammo. Weapon to weapon, fork to fork with Chompy, but look at the great tug of war between the two. Both of these two hoping for a place in the quarterfinals. Slammo gets around the back of Chompy. That's not what Chompy wants. Chompy trying to get to the side of Slammo, does get it now. Good grab on Slammo. Can they bring Slammo maybe towards the pit? Can they open the pit up, I wonder? Slammo round the back of Chompy. Good lift on Chompy, leering up into the air, not quite up and over, but comes back down. Chompy reverses to the centre of the arena. Good manoeuvre there. These two, a bit cagey between the two of them. Chompy will be hoping, of course, to progress through the round of 8. The last time they made it to this stage was Series 3, of course. Can they progress one step further to the round of 8, or have they speared the arena wall? It is a weakness of Chompy's. The forks can get stuck under the arena panels, and Slammo stands off and spins on the spot because they know a place in the round of 8 is theirs to grab, but no! Chompy gets away with seconds remaining on the clock, and they'll be very thankful of that. What can they do though, Chompy? They need to kind of turn the tide of the fight. I would say Slammo just about on top of the moment!
6.
And they're on top now because Chompy was dawdling on the pit. Slammo opened it, and down they go. This was always going to be a battle for the low ground, and initially I think Slammo was a little bit under the cosh because Chompy were the ones getting in underneath more often than not. They didn't really get a good grapple with Chompy Slammo, and I think that could have proven costly had their driving not been so good. They almost got Chompy turned upside down, didn't quite manage it here. Chompy almost speared themselves out of the competition already. They managed to get themselves free with 2 seconds on the clock, and then dawdling on the pit, Slammo is through to the round of 8.
Chompy get caught napping on the pit as Slammo continues their wave of positivity to meet 23 Red in next week's final. Now we'll move up to the top left corner as the underdogs this side Kelsey Hammer have a date with Ganymede.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Away we go then for our third fight of the night. Ganymede, the number 24, taking on our highest ranked robot left in LEGO Wars Series 5 in terms of bracket rankings, Kelsey Hammer, the number 8, and already damage to Kelsey Hammer. Ganymede trying to get another upset under their belt. They've already knocked out Whiplash and more damage there. I think that's just the armour that was ripped off of Kelsey Hammer that's been further disintegrated by Ganymede, so well done for the gratuitous violence, I guess. Down comes the hammer of Kelsey Hammer, the number 8 ranked robot. They, of course, made their way past Project Shadow in the last round in a very impressive performance from them. David Fierce now clutched in underneath Ganymede, and once again in underneath Ganymede. Doesn't get full purchase, though, in underneath the big spinning robot. And there, good impact again from Ganymede. That weapon has claimed victim throughout this series and is doing so once again here. Kelsey Hammer not off to the best of starts. All the armour has been ripped away from the two sides. The front sort of jaw, mouth kind of design is still there. Down comes the hammer of Kelsey Hammer once again. A bit lethargic, a little bit limp maybe. Down it comes once and twice, trying to make sure it's still working. Is still working happily. Can the Kelsey Hammer weapon do anything? Yes, it can! Look at that, part of the Ganymede weapon has been broken away. That is now going to be all unbalanced and horrible for Ganymede. Ganymede, of course, unseeded this series, and this is by a wide margin their best ever campaign in LEGO Wars. Kelsey Hammer, it's their debut series in the competition. Fan favourite, certainly, and live scene specialist. Can they translate that into LEGO Wars glory here? It'd be a big ask from this point to come back and beat Ganymede, although, as I said, that weapon is now unbalanced on Ganymede. It's not churning with the same ferocity and scariness as it once was. Ganymede hits the pit button, doesn't get the pit down, though. David Fierce sits idly in the middle of the arena. Good attack again from Kelsey Hammer. That weapon coming down on the side of Ganymede, and another bump from the Ganymede weapon. But once again, as I said, it's not really churning and causing the peril that it once was, is it? It's certainly slowed down to a crawl at this point. It is still working, but not happily, let's say. David Fierce still in the action and heads towards the pit button, but Kelsey Hammer is currently on the pit, and Ganymede is backing Kelsey Hammer onto the pit. So good idea from David Fierce not to open the pit. They press the pit button again, but is that just going to put Kelsey Hammer down the pit? Maybe it is. Doesn't get the pit open though, David Fierce. Not enough momentum and enough, pushing power to get the pit open at this stage. Kelsey Hammer on the pit again. Ganymede pushes the pit button, doesn't get it again, and again, and again. Still nothing from the pit. So Kelsey Hammer gets away with that one. Ganymede rocking and rolling and shaking itself to pieces. Pit button pressed again there by David Fierce, doesn't open. Ganymede's weapon shaking and rattling the robot, but we are down to our last 5 seconds, any second now. There it is. So we're going to go to time between these two for a place in the quarterfinals. I don't know who's going to win it, but it was a very tense and tentative affair towards the end after the bright start from Ganymede. Good fight. I think after the initial scare of Kelsey Hammer's armour getting a bit disintegrated by Ganymede, there was a real tone shift. It looked like it was going to be an absolute walkover from Ganymede at the start of the fight, didn't it? But as the fight wore on, Kelsey Hammer did come into its own, did manage to get a few swings off with its own hammer, caused the damage that caused Ganymede's weapon to really unsettle itself. Maybe this decision is going to be closer than it seems on first glance.
And the winner by unanimous decision is Ganymede. They still can't quite end the fight before time, but Ganymede has ended Kelsey's brave run to move on. They'll face the winners of Fight 4 tonight between Hospitaller and Petunia.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
This for the right to fight Ganymede in the round of 8, the quarterfinals. We have Petunia, the number 16 ranked robot and 15th seed at the start of the series, against Hospitaller, the number 32, are of course knocked out. Ripperoni, the number 1, and Wheelie there from Petunia. That's not ideal from them. They'll be regretting that mistake already. Can they get themselves back down? Yes, they can, just in time. But poor control there from Petunia. They'll know better than that. You expect better from that as well. They are a former semi-finalists in their own right. They need to be careful not to wheelie up and kind of overbalance and overcompensate there for their weapon. Has a lot of weight at the back as well. That key setup, you can see the motor at the back, it kind of poking at the top of the robot. It is a little bit unbalanced with regards to its centre of gravity. Although they are able to get in underneath Hospitaller there. Look at that, good attack from Petunia. Bit of a slower pace fight than we have had throughout the night thus far, although these two excellent control bots I'm sure will demonstrate some supreme driving skill and ability, and Hospitaller doing a decent job here of keeping Petunia pinned on its back. It can still drive like this, Petunia, but they need to be aware that whenever they're like that, they can't really make the most of their design. And Petunia hit the pit button, but Hospitaller just about avoids going down the pit. The pit hasn't fully opened, but it's open enough, I guess. Hospitaller and Petunia clashing in the arena. The pit is now opened by Petunia fully. Which one of these two will fall down? That said pit, I wonder. Hospitaller is slower around the arena, that's for certain, but maybe the better ground game, maybe the more sturdy and resolute of the two. They're trying to push Petunia back into the arena wall and do so. Petunia stuck against the arena sidewall. Can they get away from there? Hospitaller trying to lift and maybe leave her out. Petunia can't quite manage to do so. Petunia's still on its back, as it has been for quite a lot of this fight, I have to say. Back down on its front once again. The lifting key setup of Petunia into play once again in underneath the lifter of Hospitaller. Hospitaller pushes back on Petunia. Petunia against the arena wall gets away, but still caught in the clutches of Hospitaller. Can they get away from them? Tricky one to judge so far. Hospitaller, I would say, just about on top with the quality of their control, I would say. The weapon effectiveness certainly in their favour as well. They've lifted up Petunia a couple of times, although Petunia are doing a decent job of lifting themselves up by wheeling all the time. Now they get round the back of Hospitaller. That's a good attack from Petunia. Good control as well. Can they bring the lifter setup into play? Yes, they can, but gets them momentarily before they slide off the lifter. Not enough grip. Down comes the crushing arm once again. Doesn't quite have the reach to kind of bring it down on top of Hospitaller. We are going to go to time, and the judges between these two, a little bit unsurprising, that one, two control bots cancelling each other out. We go to the full 3 minutes. Our judges will have to decide who will face Ganymede in the quarterfinals. Tough one to call this. I think it's fair to say that this is a fight that neither of them really got a major handle over. Petunia really struggled with wheeling in this fight. I don't know if it was just a pure acceleration issue on their part, but they really did seem to struggle to keep the front of their robot on the floor. And Hospitaller, there were opportunities for them. They did control portions of the fight, mostly when Petunia were in the air. They weren't able to maximise that though, and hence we've gone to a judge's decision. Who goes through to fight Ganymede? I have no idea.
And the winner by unanimous decision is Hospitaller. Petunia decides it would rather stay on its back as Hospitaller takes a Mott & Bailey bot into the grand final for the first time. Now it's time for two of the biggest hitters left in the running to face one another. If Flashover and Orby take this to a JD, something has gone badly wrong.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Half of our spaces in next week's final episode have been taken. Who will take slot number 5? We have Orby Blade taking on the impressive Flashover Delta. Of course, Flashover destroyed Waffle in the last round. Orby Blade destroyed Kraken, and already we've lost a wheel on Flashover Delta, but good impact there from Flashover. One of the wedges has come off, but also did impact Orby Blade and flip them into the air, but there goes another one of the wedges. Good impact there from Flashover. Damage sustained by Orby Blade. That armour has been compromised in the past and has been once again here, but more damage sustained by Flashover Delta. Look, Flashover Delta, we yet to really see that robot tested in terms of being destroyed itself, apart from maybe Mr. Waffle in International. Orby Blade, meanwhile, the entire rear end has been ripped away. They've got to go on the attack surely now. Orby Blade in trouble. Last series they made it all the way to the final 4. They'll be hoping to repeat that this time around. Flashover Delta, this is by far and away their best ever run in LEGO Wars history. Flashover Delta, that weapon up to speed once again. Can they bring it into contact with Orby Blade? They don't want to charge straight at them, although they have lost another wheel. Look, and there goes the drive chain on the other side. Flashover Delta having its legs pulled off like an insect by Orby Blade. The big horizontal is looking very, very good now, isn't it? It didn't really get into its stride in the heats. But at this stage of the competition, it doesn't really matter how your form was earlier on in the series, as long as you've still got form to give, and that is what we're seeing here. And Flashover Delta, I think, they've had a brilliant LEGO Wars. They've made it all the way to the round of 16. No pit button activated there from Orby Blade. And again, let's try one more time. No. Is the pit having a moment? It's late in the series, to be fair. I'd be this time. Well, this late on. And there goes the pit. And the drive wheel of Flashover Delta, as I would say, has had a great LEGO Wars, but I think it's going to come to a brave and abrupt end at this stage. They have one wheel left on their wagon. They are nothing left to give. The active wheel is over the pit. They cannot drive away. Orby Blade has beaten Flashover Delta and will progress once again to the round of 8 in supreme style. Well done to Orby Blade. Well, a brave campaign from Flashover Delta has come to an abrupt and destructive end at the hands of Orby Blade. They did have a good impact there where it seemed like they could get back into the fight, but as soon as those wedges were gone, it was only one-way traffic, really, wasn't it, unfortunately, for Flashover Delta. They did manage to cause enormous damage to Orby Blade, ripping off their entire back section, which did look very dramatic, but as the second wheel came off and that impact there removed the other chain, it left them with one-wheel drive and nowhere to go.
With the working side of drive left over the pit, we say goodbye to Flashover this series, as Orby is back in the final to take on either the Crushing Quantum or the only 4-bar still running Sir Lancer Frog.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Away we go then for our 6th round of 16 fight and a quarter-final berth on the line, taking on Orby Blade, the number 15 seed for the bracket. We have Quantum the 23 and Sir Lancer Frog the 26. Sir Lancer Frog, of course, in its first LEGO Wars series, a brilliant rookie campaign from them thus far, making it past Emulator in the last round, and a good lift there on Quantum, who I have to say have gone into this as probably the favourites. They were a bit unlucky to get such a low ranking, but they proved that ranking doesn't mean everything with their victory over Sweepy in the round of 32. They, of course, had a dismal time last time in LEGO Wars' bracket, didn't they, Quantum? They'll be hoping that this year they can make up for that. Quantum zipping around very nicely, looks super sleek and agile, doesn't it, at the moment, chasing Sir Lancer Frog down. Sir Lancer Frog trying their best to get round to the sides, not managing to do so. Does get underneath briefly, but doesn't get a good purchase on Quantum, and now Quantum trying to pen them into the corner. The Reptilian Crusher taking on the Frog. Who is your money on here for a place in the quarterfinals and next week's final episode, of course, of LEGO Wars? Next week we will discover who our 5th series champion will be. Will it be one of these two, I wonder? So Lancer Frog trying to zip around to the sides of Quantum. Doesn't get it at the moment. Quantum now gets a good turn on the rear end of Sir Lancer Frog, and down comes the Crusher. Doesn't quite come down into contact. Of course, Quantum lost to another Frog robot in BattleBot Season 7. They've, of course, lost to Ribot in the round of 32 there. Maybe distant memories and aggression to work out on their new amphibian opponent. So Lancer Frog once again trying to get round to the sides, and a good lift home. Quantum doesn't quite manage to get it up and over, but a good lift again, getting underneath that scoop at the front of Quantum, which has proven to be one of the most effective ground game setups in the entire series of LEGO Wars. So Lancer Frog's lifter, though, was stuck in the air briefly, comes down now, snapped back shut, and so Lancer Frog has lost its lance, so maybe it's just Frog once again. Can they get round to the side of Quantum? Yes, they can. Doesn't quite manage to get the purchase again to lift it over, though. Quantum does seem to be struggling a little bit with thermal cutout issues, and we haven't really seen that from them this series. They're normally so efficient, so clean and effective in their fights. Not in this one currently. Tricky match against Lancer Frog. Lancer Frog almost goes to the pit, doesn't quite, because they know that Quantum probably has the edge in terms of pushing and drivability, and also the ground game at the front so important for offsetting their opponent. A good tense match between the two. So Lancer Frog and Quantum both have been stars in this series at certain points. We are going to go down to time between the two. A good fight between these two to decide our next round of 16 winner. But who will go through to the round of 8 to fight Orby Blade? We'll have to wait for the judges to make a decision. But what a fight between these two. Two robots very worthy of a place in our final 8, but who will take it? Well, at the start I thought Sir Lancer Frog was the aggressor. Were able to get in underneath Quantum a couple of times and use their lifter. Good control though by Quantum to deny them any major lifts and couldn't get them turned over, so points in Quantum's favour. Good grapples as well from Quantum, it was a very even fight. I really would not like to be a judge for this one.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Quantum. In a fight of little opportunities, Quantum just enough to end Froggy's run as they will face Orby in the grand final, leaving 2 spots left to fill. The first of those will see Pegasus aiming to join their fellow pneumatic machine if they can toss Duck over.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, Pegasus making their intentions known straight away there as they take on Duck in our penultimate fight of the night. And for our penultimate place in our top 8 and our final episode next week, and over goes Duck from the get-go. Good lift there from Pegasus. Duck up and over. They can right themselves, or they can run both ways up. I think they should be able to anyway. It just blocks the signal there. You see that little hole in the top of Duck? That is where the infrared sensor is on Duck. They can block that if they get turned upside down. It's not ideal for them. Pegasus at the moment starting off very much as they mean to go on. They mean business tonight by the looks of things. Pegasus, they came into this series as the 5th seeds. They've dropped down to the 27th ranked robot in the bracket. Duck have gone from 16 to 14, so they've slightly improved on their pre-season predictions. Made it all the way to the round of 16 once again. Of course, they are former grand finalists, finished second in the very first LEGO Wars. Once upon a time, lost a panic attack in that final. Pegasus will be hoping for a spot and a berth in the round of 8 this time around. Duck trying to keep that bill pointed towards Pegasus. Of course, Pegasus has that super low ground clearance and that flipper arm, which is so dangerous, and tries to lift Duck again. Doesn't quite manage to do so. Duck hits the pit button. Pit goes down. Maybe that's their tactics. Try and get Pegasus lifted onto their back and down the pit. A good lift though by Pegasus, and it could be curtains for Duck. And Duck is on the very lip of the pit here. Is it all over for Duck and Pegasus? What are they doing? Oh my goodness me, they've driven down the pit themselves and they've rescued Duck. And Duck is through to the round of 8. What on earth happened there to Pegasus? That was awful driving. Well, from all the evidence of the fight and the highlights that we're going to show you, it looks like it's going to be a slam dunk win for Pegasus, but would you believe it that they lost this fight in entirely of their own making? They had Duck on the ropes, they were flipping them up and over, they were flipping them against the arena wall. Duck didn't really have much of a response to the big flippers' advances, and they were even caught on the lip of the pit. Surely they're going to go down. No, Pegasus went down instead. Absolute howler from them. Duck go through to the quarterfinals.
Some absolute housery from the veterans Duck as they beat Pegasus into the pit to take them through, leaving just Waddle and Megalodon to fight for the last spot in next week's final. So let's see if it's the former champs that can keep this rebound going, or will Megalodon make it a third external in the top 8?
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Our final fight of the night then sees Megalodon taking on our only remaining LEGO Wars champion left in this series, Waddle D Meta, of course, the 7th seeds at the start of the series. They had to fight their way through the play-ins to get to this stage, and of course they did manage to get past Dietor, who they lost to in their heat. Although at the moment Megalodon is proving a very tough nut to crack, and they've caused damage to Waddle D Meta. And look, I think the spinner has now been stopped, maybe. I think damaged certainly is Waddle D Meta. They've got no weapon working currently. They've hit the pit button. They didn't quite manage to get it completely down. And Megalodon here senses a potential spot in the quarterfinals. It's been a very good campaign from them this series. A much improved robot coming this time around from Megalodon, and they will be certainly happy with the progress that they've made. But look at this, Waddle D Meta. I didn't expect to see them suffering so once again. They looked so good in the last round against Dietor, and suddenly they're on the ropes once again here. Megalodon have the chance here to knock out the last remaining LEGO Wars champion in LEGO Wars Series 5. It would be quite a scalp for them to get it. Of course, they were in the, I believe, in the external heat, was it? Correct me if I'm wrong, David. Waddle D Meta getting a good clutch though on Megalodon. They are trying their damnedest to stay in this competition. They know they've got work to do. And as things stand currently, you'd have to say that Megalodon is probably on top. The weapon, non-functional on Waddle D Meta, will carry a lot of weight with the judges, and Megalodon is fully functional and is looking pretty good, I have to say, for a spot in next week's grand final episode. And they'll be one of the robots that you have to keep an eye out for, because they are looking pretty good. And that weapon of Waddle D Meta is becoming more and more loose as the fight goes on. They're trying to rip it away, are they? Minotaur versus Warhead-esque, maybe. Megalodon pushing back on Waddle D Meta. Clutched together. Waddle Dee just trying to slow the pace of the fight down, but is that going to be enough if we go to the full 3 minutes? They tried to open the pit earlier on, they didn't manage to do so, and I think they realised that Megalodon will be tough to drag and push down the pit. What can they do though, Waddle Dee? They've got work to do here and not a lot of time to do it. So far I'd say Megalodon is the favourite, and they've shredded the disc, look at that, of Waddle Dee Meta. It is very Minotaur versus Warhead this, isn't it? Destroying part of that spinning head at the front of Waddle Dee Meta, and the former champions could be heading the way of all the others, of Tantrum, of Panic Attack, of Aggro Whopper. And will they follow them, their predecessors and their successors, out of the competition and will make way for a new LEGO Wars champion? Time is ticking away on Waddle Dee Meta series, in my opinion. And Megalodon has looked very good in this fight. Waddle Dee Meta has looked anything but. We go to the judges. I think it's only going to be a foregone conclusion, but it's over to our judges to decide our final quarter-finalist. I think it's been a valiant effort from Waddle Dee Meta to recover to this stage of the competition, but after that first initial impact, the fight was really over as a contest. The weapon of Waddle Dee Meta disabled from the first impact from Megalodon's drum spinner, and from then on in, it was a bit of a close, clutching fight between the two. More and more damage was being accrued as the fight wore on, until eventually the disc was shredded by Megalodon. Surely only one winner.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Megalodon. In the end, it was not to be for our second Wars champs, as Megalodon breaks Waddle Dee's disc to confirm we will have a new champion in next week's final. It's been another great night of action in the arena, as our favourites either side, 23 Red and Orby, have both delivered their best fights in the series as we lock in our 8 pots for the grand final. The sturdy Moss and Bailey lifter that sunk 2 international champs to keep strolling on to success. The old school vert that's finally on a golden path after squandered potential last series. The dual disc spinner making its 3rd successive grand final appearance, hoping 3rd time's the charm. The grab and lift beast that's finally shook off its cursed mantra with a suplex for the ages. The pneumatic crusher that time and again has proven to be one of the best control bots in the business. Last year's bronze placer that's continued its path of destruction to claim the tag of favourites for the title. The veteran lifter that's woken up from its bracket slumber to finally string together a strong run to return to the top. And finally, the deep sea drum spinner that's defied faster and more destructive foes to be the top retcon of this series. All 8 of these have fought well to make the grand final, but only one can raise the trophy this series, so for now, I've been your host David of Smeg, and we'll see you in the final.
It still says poor things about my control in the fight though, so it's that. Oh! James, we didn't realise I got too confused about my control because